So you're a second-class citizen in your own country, folks. We've all been subjected, many of us in our jobs, and Biden is threatening, although there's no rule yet through OSHA, a vaccine mandate here. They can't stand up to all of us, folks. This will be the greatest defeat of big government in our lifetime. If Biden institutes this vaccine mandate and there is mass civil disobedience. Listen, I got the vaccine. That's your choice whether you get yours. I'm standing for people's freedom and their ability to determine what goes in their body and what doesn't. Whether you've had the vaccine or not, it's not their business, anyone. I told you, but you don't have to tell anyone. It's time for mass civil disobedience here. Because there's no vaccine mandates for illegal immigrants. So if you break the law and come into this country, you're not subjected to the same requirements the citizens that finance and built this country are? Oh, that's right, folks. Matter of fact, while it's hard for you to catch a flight because of vaccine mandates and other ridiculous supply constraints imposed by the Biden administration's obstacles to the supply side while pumping free cash into the demand side, you can't catch a flight. But don't worry, illegal immigrants can. Did you see this story in the New York Post? Biden is secretly flying underage migrants into New York in the dead of night by Miranda Devine and the rest of her team there. Do you notice what time they're arriving? He said around 2,000 migrants nabbed after sneaking into the U.S. from Mexico arrived at the airport outside White Plains, New York, on 21 flights since August 8th. This is really strange, folks. Records show some of the planes touched down between midnight and 6:30 a.m. when a voluntary curfew is in effect, with 2 arriving from Houston at 2 a.m. and 4:29 a.m. on August 20th. The clandestine nature of the operation raises questions about how the White House is dealing with a surge in unaccompanied minors. Now, I live near an airport that is right down the road. It is a right and a left away. It is right there. That airport has a voluntary curfew as well. Why? Nobody wants a jet flying over their house at 3 o'clock in the morning, waking everybody up. So what's really strange is the people in White Plains would notice this. What's also strange is it's a voluntary curfew for everyone else, so there's no reason to land the plane at 2 and 4 a.m. Unless you were doing it to keep people from seeing what you're doing, which is so clearly what the Biden administration is doing here. You can't catch a flight. You have to stick a vaccine in your arm whether you want it or not, but not if you're in the country illegally. Matter of fact, if you try to fly a private jet into White Plains, book one. See what happens. Tell them you want to leave at 1 o'clock in the morning from D.C. and land at 2:30. Watch what happens. Watch what they tell you. But you're a second-class citizen in your own country. No flight curfews, no vaccine mandates. Flights for illegals, just not for you. It gets worse. Whereas you thought you could go on social media and you could post on social media about whatever you wanted. You can't. It's a Washington Times story about Facebook. You know, Facebook, they banned Hunter Biden, posts about Hunter Biden and his, Hunter Biden and his laptop. You can't post about any of that stuff. But don't worry. If you're a human smuggler and an illegal immigrant, you can definitely post your advice and tips on crossing the border illegally. Washington Times story, Stephen Dinan. Be in my newsletter, bongino.com/newsletter. Subscribe today. It's free, of course. You can read these articles. So the Attorney General, Mark Brnovich from Arizona, asked Facebook what they were doing about human smuggling being promoted on Facebook. And Facebook got back to them, and according to this piece said, we do allow people to share information about how to enter a country illegally or request information about how to be smuggled, wrote William Castleberry, Facebook's vice president for state public policy. He said, what the, and left the last part out. I'll say, what the? You're second-class citizens in your own country. Your country can be invaded from the south. Facebook will facilitate it. Yet when your country's invaded by the Biden family, involved in all kinds of overseas cabals and corrupt activities, right? And you highlight that so that they don't take over public policy. You're banned and your posts are banned from Facebook. Again, you live in a completely separate country. You were a second-class citizen in your own country.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show.